They're going to get side by side again. Last time it didn't quite work. Can he make it stick this time? He's not fully passed, but he held on as they swing back in. A little bit of car contact between them. That sends him out. Topi's going to pounce on it. He's going to try and take that second place back as it goes through Brooklyn's tires spinning up as Simone is not willing to give way. He's got the inside back and through, more side-to-side contact between he and his rival. Somehow they come out the other side, but it's still not done, DJ. It's down to cops they go.
Oh, it's really close. Here we go. It's into Galindo. He tries to make the move on U-Bluth as they send Hideki Koivisto flying.
Koivisto manages not to hit the wall. I think he's going to be okay, but he's not going to be happy about that.
Galindo, he's going for a braking move on Fabian U-Bluth. He's going to send it deep into turn 7. He's going to be on the inside as they head around the corner. He should have the position, but U-Bluth holds out. They're going to go side by side as they go into the S's.
Oh, can he get this done finally? Chucks it in, but he goes a little too deep. Coming back at him. Here comes Ljungblud trying to take this fourth away. Again, this will tie the points lead. If Aitor can get past him, they're going to run together. Little bit of contact, splitting either side of Marco Lay. Who's going to win the battle down into the braking of the hairpin?
Well, and let's take a look at that. That may have been a mistake there from Jeff Schmeier going for the move. How he kept that out of the side of the number 220 is beyond belief, but amazing car control there from the number 30.
Not close enough to Timo for this lap by. Oh, but look into the first corner. That's for the lead. Kortaniemi on the attack on Partanen, but he's going to be vulnerable as Simone sees the chance. Now that he's slow off the corner, swings around him, and he is through down into Maggots and Beckett's.
And this is where things get extremely complicated. He's going to try and go on the outside, gets pushed out wide into the grass, loses it, and now we're all along for the ride.
Whoa! I know there's a rallycross course here, but this car's not made for that. And he got air, all four wheels off the ground, still kept it out of the barrier and brought it back. That's going to likely cause a little damage to the car regardless, but great heads up by the 16.
He's going to have to go the long way around the left-handed sweeper here. Is he going to be ahead by the time they get into the braking zone? Are we going to see side-by-side for 2 successive laps going through Moss? Little bit of maybe contact there for Ozowski, bumping and banging and bumping as they exit the corner.
Luis Nunez tries to cover it off, then it's going to try and pinch as they go towards turn 1, but he'll get just about what he needs. Oh, he has a big moment in the middle, and up and under, Jukka Tolonen, experience prevailing.
Good morning, everyone. I'm going to ride around the world.
I'm Mick Claridge, and I'm going to ride around the world on my bike.
My son, he gave me advice at the start of this ride, and he looked at me and just said, "Dad, don't be a moron."
Let me do my animal signal to gain their respect.
How's it going, Sally?
Yeah, I'm alright, Mick. How's it going?
Worse than that bit in Lord of the Rings, where they go into the top and the spiders in the tunnel. I'm just hoping there's a spider at the top of this one to kill me. Freezing.
And I failed. I moroned up the ride.
While Leighton is beginning to make the championship look like a foregone conclusion, there is still a fierce fight for second, third, and fourth in the points. Latvala, Brown, and Johnson have swapped positions multiple times over the course of the season. There might be more twists like that in store in the final 7 races as we get ready to watch round 19 of the Porsche Owners Club Series, and you'll see it all live here on the Global SimRacing Channel. Hi, I'm Joe Peak, and with me in the booth is Samuel Ryman. Behind the scenes is our director, Zach Johnson, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beer. Tonight, Mid-Ohio will play host to these German cars. One of my home circuits, I'll gladly introduce those who haven't heard of this place with our GSRC track guide. Welcome to the Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course. Located halfway between Columbus and Cleveland, Ohio, this track has become a road racing staple in the Midwest. Despite its name, one of the biggest events of the year here is usually to visit from IndyCar. The full 2¼ mile version is what is most frequently used, but it also includes a chicane layout and a short course. While each one officially has 13 turns, they do have distinct differences. The chicane layout was the only version for the first part of its history, in which the keyhole included a bus stop style back and forth jink on its entry. The short course simply bypasses the whole keyhole section altogether. The various turns have some rather famous names, such as China Beach with its downhill braking, inviting you into its eponymous sand trap, or Madness, which is a single file set of S's with drastic elevation change. There's also the carousel, and this more than 180-degree turn offers a variety of lines that can be taken. Perhaps the most unique feature of the track is that in the real world, starts are rarely taken on the pit straight. Instead, the green flag is given along the backstretch where an extra flag stand sits. Naturally, sports car racing is the main staple of the venue, but motorcycles have a long history here, and in more recent times, NASCAR has started to hold races at the track. It also hosts driving schools and days for amateur racers to get on the circuit. The Buckeye State is often more closely associated with dirt track ovals, but the amount of history and prestige in Mid-Ohio's events make it just as worthy of notoriety in the region. Well, Sam, it might not have the glitz and glamour of some tracks, but this place tends to be pretty popular, it seems, with most sports car drivers.
Yeah, and also I have a fond spot from it from IndyCar. I believe it puts on some good races there. So here is our track map, and you can see the left side of the track map there is a little bit twisty, but you do have passing opportunities out on the course. Lap starts for the 90-degree left-hander, then you got a nice passing opportunity down into the keyhole, another passing opportunity down into China Beach, but you better have it done by then, because otherwise, if you haven't made your move by China Beach, you're going to be following the cars in front of you all down Madness, all through the S's, all through Thunder Valley, and that long carousel that comes around to end the lap. It's a 30-minute race here today. We'll be doing about 23, 24 laps.
Yep, it's over quick usually in this series. And before we get to that racing, we want to remind you of our sponsors, which of course includes Porsche. There is no substitute. Find out more at Porsche.com. And Sunset Mortgage. Don't put your money in the bank, be the bank. Check them out today at sunsetcash.net. And Octavio Tequila. Celebrate now. For a great tasting tequila, go to octaviotequila.com and purchase today. And finally, Rogers Financial. You retire once. We retire people every day. For all of your financial planning needs, contact Rogers Financial today at rogersfinancial.info. Now, as we take a glance at the championship, I kind of hinted at it in the intro. It's a big gap from Tom Layton on down. He has taken the lion's share of the victories so far this season. Corey Lotvilla, Travis Brown, and Michael Johnson have basically been kind of switching around here and there. Johnson took second place for much of the early part of the season, but hasn't been on the podium for quite some races and has been struggling lately. We'll touch on that in a little bit later on. From there, it stays very, very tight from 6th to 10th, especially when you get to Mayorga and Fulton, currently tied on points, and then Abrams and Baccignone as well, only 7 points down from Mayorga down to Doug there to round out your top 10. So still plenty to play for here late in the season for this year-long contest that they hold, Sam. But we have race details as well. Why don't you run us down those?
Yeah, we already mentioned about it being a 30-minute race, but here you can see we're getting late into the championship, round 19 of 25. Probably a bit too late for anyone to do anything about Tom Layton, but of course we have all those other battles. The Porsche 911 GT3R, that's the one and only car. All of these 18 drivers here today are going to be racing for this 30-minute race. It's open setup though, so they can change their wins around and everything to try and make them faster than their competitors. Let's see who gets it right.
Exactly. I'm sure setup probably be important around here, having a nice handling car through all the twistier parts of this circuit as we watch the 97 of Leighton bring it around through the keyhole right now. Well, and he's going to pull over and park it, looks like. He has that provisional pole by a pretty decent margin. It's about half a second over Travis Brown currently. So it's looking very handily in the grasp of that 97 machine. Mayorga and Rondeau are pretty close behind on Travis, so they could maybe take him off of that front row, especially considering, Sam, that Travis is not out on the track right now. And both of them, well, no, one of them, as it looks like Mayorga has since parked it as I say that.
Yeah, Tom Leighton actually just turned that 119.298 right before we came to him, so that's why we saw him pulling off at the keyhole. 17 of our 18 drivers have turned a time. Michael Oast has been struggling a lot. He's been out there. He's on his 10th lap. He's actually just spun off at the carousel, and he's got to go out there again, because right now, Michael Oast put a lap time in practice that could get him onto the 6th or 7th row on the grid. And here he goes back out there. Right now, he's going to be starting at the very back if he doesn't lay a clean lap down.
Yeah, it seems like he's the one that's having a bit of a rough time now. And Oast has been having a rough time because he hasn't managed to finish on the podium since much earlier, since round 7. That was back at Detroit. Since then, he's seen 4th place a couple of times. I think twice, it looks like. But otherwise, just really hasn't been able to try and bother to spray the champagne. It's not for lack of trying. He's certainly been close, as I mentioned a couple of times, and it has shown speed. But today, he seems to be struggling. As we look at Michael Johnson, who's also struggled with qualifying and is also having that same issue here today, only in 11th spot. He crosses the line, and that lap looks like that was an out lap for him. We understand, we've just found out recently he's having a few health problems, and that has, turns out, been affecting some of his pace, he says. So the 9 car might unfortunately have to take a break, which is a bit sad to see if he is out of the running for that fight for second in the championship, Sam. As I said earlier, he's been so consistent earlier in the season, and that was really his strength. For him to get pulled out so late on is just kind of a bit of a bitter end to it.
Yeah, Michael Johnson currently 11th fastest in practice, but he's only half a second behind second place. In qualifying, but he's only half a second behind second place here in qualifying. Travis Brown. It's really Tom Leighton who has the measure of the rest of the field, as we mentioned, by half a second. But after that, we get like a second cover. Second place to 12th on the grid. So there's a lot of healthy competition here in the midfield, but right now Tom Leighton, it might be hard to catch with that with the edge he has over the rest of the field here in qualifying, and also practice as well. That number 97 car, our points leader, was fastest there too.
Yeah, right now from 3rd to 7th, there is roughly 0.2 of a second splitting them. That is mighty close. As Johnson crossed the line, was not able to improve on his 20.4, is about 0.2 off that time by. This is Mayorga back out on track. So Brown, Mayorga, and Rondeau are all out there to try and see if they can catch Leighton. This is Momeyer on your screen right now. He's down in 16th. Had a few slightly better runs earlier on in the season, but hasn't really seen much since then. He did get his first podium back in round 17. That was when we visited Auto Club Speedway and had the enduro for 3 hours that managed to get him up there. So nicely done to make good on that one. He's now on a flyer as he comes down the backstretch towards China Beach. Probably going to be one of those action zones here, the braking into that turn, Sam.
Yeah, well, and it's the best passing opportunity, but it's also one of the easiest places to get it wrong. If you try and, as Corey Latvala jumps up to 6th fastest, If you overshoot your braking mark while you're trying to pass someone, you can go off into the beach on the exit there of China Beach, and that will cost you a lot of time indeed. That being said, it's interesting seeing how creative people get with their moves there sometimes. If you try and make it on the outside of a right-hander, you might be able to pass your competitor in the corner after that if you stay on the inside. Well, we're about to watch John Momayer across the line here, but to Michael Ost fans, knocking on wood, he's only a couple of turns away from the finish line too, and it looks like he's finally about to get a clean lap in. But I have seen people lose it here in the carousel, Joe.
Yeah, it could be easy to overdrive that corner. He's going to take a wide entry around, misses the apex a little bit. Let's see if this was a clean lap for him. Yes, it was, a 20.3, and that actually jumps him up to 9th. That is a huge relief, I'm sure, for him as he spins it out, and maybe he's just going to end his qualifying here because I don't think he can get around in time after that one. About a minute left on the clock. This is most of our drivers ending up their qualifying attempts here. So for Brown, Mayorga, Rondeau, what can they do? Latvala, by the way, down in 6th. A bit interesting considering he's second in the points, and he's been on a tear with results. He's had 3 second places and a win in the last 4 races. So that's what helped promote him up into second in the points and ahead of Travis Brown. But today, it looks like Brown might be able to strike back. Sounds like Latvala's on an outlap right now as well. As we come down to 30 seconds to go, seeing if anybody's close to finishing theirs. Looks like Momeyer is going to come across to be able to start one more. We see a couple of our drivers heading through Thunder Valley and should have just about enough time. Momeyer improved up to 16th with that last lap. Rondeau is the next one. He sits in 4th, crosses the line. Not faster for him. Jeffrey Shulam is the next here on your screen in the 371. And I think he is going to get the checkered flag. No, he crossed in time and he improved, but looks like he didn't gain any places. He stays in P13. Ting Wan will be our first to take the checkered flag then in the number 20 and does not go faster. So what about Travis Brown? The last attempt here, Sam. Can he find half a second?
It would be difficult to do so, but a second place, of course, isn't... he's way off a pace there. Second place should be a good place for him to start. As we watch the last couple of cars come around the top of the hill, Michael Johnson, the aforementioned Michael Johnson. Now, of course, if he picked up half a second, that wouldn't just be 1 position. That would be about 9 positions for him here. But he's not able to do it. So Michael Johnson going to be starting on the second half of the field.
Bolton goes faster. He jumps up into the second row himself at the dying moments. Fendick has his final lap deleted. Does not count. BJ Fulton, in the meantime, I think should be able to be one of the last ones around. Yes, he will be the final driver to be able to cross the line here. He sits in 10th place, has 300ths of a second to make up to catch Michael Ost, but I think he is actually on an outlap. Indeed he is, so that was all for naught. That means that our grid is now set for the 19th race of the season. 18 cars going to take part in this one here today, and Tom Layton gets another pole, and looks like, based on what we're seeing in both qualifying and the warm-up, that Tom is probably going to have quite the advantage over his rivals. Travis Brown will start to his outside as Sam Mayorga managed to get himself into 3rd today, and Mayorga is looking to follow up his first podium finish back at Auto Club. See if he can get another one here today in Ohio. Michael Bolton starts from 4th as Mark Rondeau will be P5. Corey Latvala starts from the 6th position. Doesn't seem to like this track all that well this week. Jad Duncan will start from 7th and Jacob Abrams will be P8. Michael Ost starts from 9th. Top 10, Sam, will be rounded out by BJ Fulton.
And then starting from 11th position will be Doug Boccignone. Michael Johnson will be starting 12th ahead of Jeffrey Shulam. Mark Bray will be starting from 14th ahead of Merrick Karasai. And John Momaya will be starting from 16th ahead of Dan Fendick and Ting Guan, rounding out this 18-car field. The entire field covered by about 3.5 seconds. And Joe, a very short pace lap here at Mid-Ohio. These tyres are all going to be cold when they take the green flag, and we've already seen in qualifying a lot of drivers spinning in turn 1.
Yeah, I got to imagine that's going to be a tough one in a Porsche, trying to get it to stay balanced through that turn. And it's not super hot out there either, so it might take a lap or two to really get them up to temperature. It's only 81 Fahrenheit currently on the track surface, 76 for the air temperature. I went back and checked ahead of the race this time. 13 wins so far that Tom Layton has had. In fact, one of his drop weeks is a second place currently. That's how dominant he has been so far this season in 2022. Well, he's going to lead them off here as they come up and over the crest and into the carousel. And the pace car will duck off. Layton will have control. He'll try and beat Brown into that first corner because he does not want to lose that track position at a place like this where it's so hard to overtake. And there's the green flag. It's not the greatest of jumps, honestly, for Tom Layton. Here comes Travis Brown with a bit of momentum. Round is outside, coming up to turn 1. Is he going to be able to challenge? Almost makes contact. There is some contact into the back of Layton. He manages to catch it. I think that was the car of Michael Ost getting into him potentially. And as they streak down into the keyhole, someone goes off into the tires. It looks like 2 cars, another one spinning around. It's a messy start. Looks like that was Jad Duncan who winds up facing the wrong way. And they now fly towards China Beach, Sam.
Well, Travis Brown is in the lead, and all that kicked off when our pole sitter Tom Layton had an oversteer moment. And look, we've still got cars spinning all over the place. It was a mistake from Tom Layton. He had oversteer in the first corner. Sam Mayorga got into the back of him. Wasn't his fault. Travis Brown capitalizes and leads the race, but Jad Duncan has massive damage. His car's all over the place. Another driver who was off at the keyhole was Mark Rondeau. He started in 5th position, so a lot of chaos here on the opening lap.
Yeah, looks like Boccignone got a little involved in that as well. Also, I think Layton had a bit of contact in that second incident in the keyhole on top of things. Now, there's no scheduled pit stops in this series, though they do have a spare car in case they have damage. That's going to set them behind even farther. Layton runs in 7th, but your leader is Brown with Latvala in 2nd place. Wow, there's that race pace coming back in handy for the 22, Sam, ready to challenge the man that he's trying to keep behind him in the points.
Yeah, what about the driver in 3rd place? BJ Fulton, he started down in 10th, is up 7 positions. Granted, a lot of that was probably just him finding the right gaps in the traffic throughout all the chaos, so we'll see if he's able to maintain that 3rd place, that podium position over the next 28 minutes. We see already Duncan out of a race, Abrams having trouble, and now we come down into China Beach, best passing opportunity on the track, but doesn't look like any of our leaders close enough to make a move this time around. Honestly, they're probably all catching their breath after that opening lap.
Yeah, I gotta think so. Really trying to reset their brains and get into it. It also allows us a chance to reset now that things have settled down, to take a look at that replay with the start. There is Layton right there already trying to apply pressure to Michael Ost. So let's see, is this going to be the first corner? No, this is going to be into the keyhole. He's on the outside of 3 wide. That's never a good thing. And yeah, that
Rondeau got punted. That yellow car, Jad Duncan, got into the back of Rondeau, and Rondeau going out wide, that's what ran Layton off.
Exactly. And, whoa, somebody was still off coming down the backstretch there in the red and white. Not sure
This is all Layton, though, Joe. Watch, he has a snap of oversteer.
Oh, yeah, good point. So him slowing up and getting that little touch from behind. Really him trying to gather the car up and not Mayorga getting too aggressive, it seems. Interesting stuff at the beginning of this race, and an unusual mistake for Leighton, if we're honest. He is always so clinical, especially with his wins. And there is Jad Duncan getting turned around in the process as well. Who is this off in the red and whites? I think that's Jacob Abrams. Yeah, that's Jacob Abrams. Michael Ost just got shoved off. This, I think, was in Madness. There he is live now. He was in a battle with Tom Leighton, and I'm not sure if he actually did make contact or what here, but I know they were fighting side by side, and suddenly I look over and he is in the tires. So he gets it back on track in the 73, and Leighton is now up into 6th position.
Yeah, and that's where Michael Ost had been running. Oh, so Leighton's made... Oh, so what happened there? Leighton made the move into trying the beach, but had overshot, and it looked like Ost saw his opportunity to attempt a crossover, but they got together in the next corner.
I think Leighton's going to have to be very, very careful here, because that's another car contact. Yes, it may have been a little bit of net code, unfortunately, for him, but they only get 17 incidents before they get a drive-through penalty. And then every 5 more, they get more drive-through penalties until the disqualification at 34. So Leighton's already on the back foot here, and he's had 2, potentially 3 car contacts.
And Leighton's got a bit of clean air now, though. You can see on the timing and scoring on the left-hand side of your screen there, he's less than 4 seconds behind the race leader. In about half a second, he'll catch up with Sam Mayorga there in 5th place. And then they're all kind of bunched up together. So don't rule Leighton out of this yet. But if he is going to win it, it's not going to be a walk in the park like we've seen a couple of times this season.
Meanwhile, I'm kind of watching BJ Fulton, who's a little bit ahead of this. You can see he's in the orange machine just up the road. There he is being chased by Michael Bolton. Now, BJ Fulton has not had a podium since it looks like round 10 of this season. That was at VIR that he managed that one. But he's in position to try and do so here today. However, that is Michael Bolton behind him. And Michael Bolton, in the last 6 races, I think it is, he has been on the podium 4 times.
Got a battle for 10th place, heading on down into the keyhole. Doug Bossignoni has just made a pass on John Mamalias. Actually, sorry, that was for 9th position. And this is a 16 car field now. You can see Tin 1 has retired from the race, spun last lap coming out of a keyhole and pulled into retirement in the number 20 car.
Tell you what, Johnson making good use of this chaos we've had today. He's up 6 positions even after being overtaken by Doug, although it looks like he might slip further back because Rondeau is very close behind him. This is Johnson and Leighton that we're seeing now. Actually, Johnson and Shulam behind him, rather, I should say. Michael Johnson got a little piece of that accident in the keyhole, so I'm not sure if he's experiencing any damage. He's also up 5, though, so he's still on a net gain.
I wonder if Sam Mayorga is suffering from the damage to the front end of his number 183 Porsche. He's in 5th right now, but qualified 3rd, and was the one who got into the back of Tom Leighton in the first turn after Tom had his moment. And he does have damage to the front end of that Porsche. And I just wonder, Joe, obviously he would have lost track position in the opening lap while slowing down for Tom, but he hasn't been able to recover it. He's not exactly charging the top 4 down after he was one of the fastest qualifiers. So I do wonder if that damage is hurting him a bit.
Yeah, you might be right, because I'm looking at his lap times in comparison, and his best is a 20.5. That's 0.6 off of his qualifying lap. Now, he's probably a lot more full of fuel, and that might explain some of it, but he still seems to be struggling, and Tom Leighton is about to knock him out of the top 5 if he can find an opening.
see a bit of tire smoke on the outside there. That's from Jacob Abrams, who just had a spin. And there's another spin. Jacob.
That's Jacob right
Jacob's
there.
got to be a little bit worried here. He's had a couple of spins and the leaders are running him down. I think his car is ill handling. I think he was involved in some of that opening lap drama.
He was. We saw him off course. We don't know what kind of contacts were made, but definitely was not on the desired racing line when you're pounding across the grass on the backstretch. Meanwhile, the 79 machine still leading this race. Travis Brown ahead of Corey Lotfula, and handily, for the time being at least. It's about 0.7 of a second, so it's not a monstrous gap, but it's enough that Corey really can't try and attack him. He's going to have to get closer if he wants to make anything out of this fight.
The problem the leaders are about to have here is they're catching Jacob Abrams at a very bad part of a circuit, because if he's more than a second or two off the pace, they're going to have to follow him for half a lap here, because there's really no good passing opportunity until you get back out to the keyhole.
Yeah, really not. But I don't think they're catching him that fast. The real trouble is all the spins that we've been seeing out of the 728. They got to hope that he doesn't have another one right in front of them and have to try and avoid a car spread across the track. Meanwhile, we're back with Lotfula once again, still chasing on Travis Brown. He's overtaken Travis because Travis had to miss the last two races, but we haven't seen Travis on the podium since round 15. Actually, over the course of this season. That was back at Road America.
Meanwhile, one driver who made a move the last lap around was Mark Rondeau, moving up into 10th place ahead of John Momaya. And I have a feeling that Rondeau is going to be an interesting driver to watch throughout the race. We saw him get pushed off of the keyhole on... sorry, that's Abrams moving over. Sorry, I thought a car had a problem. So Abrams letting the leaders by. But going back to Rondeau, he was one of the faster qualifiers, was pushed out wide on the opening lap, lost a lot of time, and so he's got a lot of work to do. So it will be interesting to track Rondeau's progress throughout the rest of the event.
Indeed, and I've been also tracking Tom Layton's progress. He's still on the back of Mayorga and has been applying a lot of pressure. You could see him barely going by the lap car of Abrams there as we've checked back in on Travis Brown. There is Mayorga in the 183. If he does have damage that's slowing him up, either Layton's also got damage or he's just having a heck of a time trying to make this overtake.
Yeah, I mean, they've lost a second to the leader, to Brown, over the last couple of laps. It was only 3 seconds or so they were behind. Now they're over 4 seconds back. So I have a feeling Layton's going to want to do something here, and he's coming up to 2 good passing opportunities. Of course, the first good passing opportunity is the keyhole. The problem is you don't want to compromise your exit here on the keyhole. So let's see what Layton does. He might try and go in a little deep, and that's not him overshooting the turn. That's him intentionally trying to take a wider line so he gets a run down the straight, but it's not enough of a run. He doesn't really have a slipstream. He doesn't really have anything going to try and make a move here.
No, just not enough. So credit to the 183 to be able to hold him back as long as he has. He's fast where he needs to be fast, I guess you could say, for now. Ooh, back and forth as Layton maybe getting a little bit desperate right up on the rear bumper of Sam Mayorga.
Yeah, he's definitely trying different lines, and you know that's what you need to do as a racing driver. You can't just follow the driver in front of you, because then if you do exactly as they do, you're never going to get past. The problem is Layton can only do so much experimentation on this part of the circuit, as we see a car put a couple of wheels off. I think it was Lotfula from second place, and that is cost him about half a second to your race leader.
It was indeed. In fact, Fulton's now catching up to him on top of things. So he's got a double whammy of losing touch with his main rival, and he's got a threat from behind. Let's see if Mayorga will have a threat into the keyhole this time. Can Tom set him up properly? He's a little too far back for a pass into the corner. What about out of it? As once again, he's going to try and send it as far out as he can go, cut it back in, and get the launch. Now they pick up speed as they fly towards China Beach.
Yeah, BJ Fulton's done the exact same thing on Corey Latvala, and I think Fulton might be close enough to attempt something for second place, but Latvala closing the door to the outside, almost contact between them, and from fourth place, so Bolton goes very wide, so all three of them hold each other up a little bit, but they were all far ahead enough from that battle from fifth that there's no change for position, but things getting dicey in the battle for second.
Yeah, things really picking up now as drivers are making some serious attempts at this. It's also getting a little bit dark. We haven't mentioned it. It's a little bit late in the day, currently 7 p.m. virtual standard time here in the virtual Mid-Ohio, and that's why we're seeing the clouds provide so much cover as the sun is coming in from such an angle. It's not able to try and peek through. Meanwhile, crossing the start-finish line to start lap 11 already. Corey Latvala has gone from the attacker to the defender very quickly, and BJ Fulton looks like he is eager to try and take that second off his hands.
And behind them, Mayorga ran wide on the exit of turn one, and that's going to allow Leighton to give him a hard time. So we got two battles going on again, second, third, and fourth, and fifth and sixth. Oh, bad exit though for Leighton, so nothing happening in that battle this time around. And all just holding station right now. This is a great circuit, Mid-Ohio, but right now definitely proving to be hard to pass. And as they come across the start-finish line this time by, we will be halfway on the clock on lap number 11. So we are looking at a 22, maybe 23-minute race here. And right now, the driver really enjoying everything going on is Travis Brown, as we've got action back in the pack.
Yeah, this is Momar, who is trying to overtake on Mark Bray. Looks like he's going to be able to get that done. Has some connection issues in the process, though, and Bray slips up, causing Michael Ost to have to check up himself to not run into the back of that 946 car. So there's still action everywhere throughout the field, even though we are down 2 cars of this 18-car pack. And they come through Thunder Valley once again, still trying to chase down Momar after he's made that overtake. And also got to worry about Mehmet Karasay, who's coming back into the fray himself. He sits in 14th, and that's a spin from Bray. That's going to lose the spot. He falls down to that P14. In fact, I think Abrams is going to be able to get by, but he's a lap down, so that's not for position. And that cost him dearly. So the track where track position is king, I got to think that Tom Leighton is kicking himself that this, of all places, he lost that lead.
Yeah, on a similar note, I was hyping up Rondeau early on in the event, saying he would be a fun driver to watch come back through, but he's kind of stalled out in 10th place. So really proving to be difficult to pass here today. You know, not unusual from Mid-Ohio, but we'll see what happens in the second half of the event if the intensity picks up a little bit. And I've got to imagine at this point, Tom Leighton's thinking this is, I wonder if he's starting to accept, Joe, that this is going to be a drop week. If you say that he's losing points from, you know, his second place finishes, well, what's the 6th place? He probably didn't even know there were 6 cars in these races.
Yeah, really. So yeah, this would become one of his drop weeks if he finishes down here in 6th position. What's even wilder is I need to check and see what his finishing positions were and the 2 that weren't on the podium, because he missed 1 round at round 5, but both of those races scored 2s. If you finish 10th or lower, you get 2 points. So they were 10th or lower in those. This would be the first time he's finished inside the top 10, and it wasn't a podium if that's the case.
Do have a battle shaping up for 11th. Michael Ost is on the inside of John Memoria in the keyhole. They're going through it side by side, and Memoria is going to lose that position on the exit of a turn. And in the background there, you see Mehmet Karasay, probably thinking, hey, I'd like to make a move too. So definitely some action going on further back in the field. Oh, here we go. Memoria going to try and get Ost back.
I thought that was going to be the second time that Ost was punted off in madness. You remember he got hit earlier by Tom Leighton, and that's why he's back here. Probably would have been fighting for those top 5 positions. But he's at least made it past the 6 car. Now he has to run down Rondeau, but that's going to take 11 seconds of catching up. As who have we got off the road here? So this is Fendick. Yeah, that's Dan Fendick, it looks like. As he's going to get it back on the circuit through the S's, and he's down to 15th. This has been a tricky one. I'm not too shocked. This is such a technical track, and this Porsche is going to be a handful around some of these corners. Let's see if we'll get Tom Layton getting a handful of a top 5 this time around. I don't think he's got the slipstream to do it here, Sam, but he is a little closer than what we've seen in the past.
Yeah, I mean, the biggest difference each lap as he's much late on the brakes than Mayorga is the fact that we're running out of laps and he's going to get a bit more aggressive. You know, even if he's not thinking about points or anything more for this race, he's been following Mayorga for so long. You've got to imagine he's thinking, man, top 5 would be a lot nicer than 6th place. And when Mayorga's making mistakes like that, he might try. Is he going to try a pass on the outside here? He is. How's this going to work?
Oh boy, he's going to try it around the outside of one of the most blind and fast corners on the track, and he makes it stick. Scares Mayorga out of that top 5, and Layton, in the most unlikely of spots, is through. Now he has to make up 3 seconds to catch Bolton. It's 6 seconds to the leader.
Yeah, Travis Brown's got the measure of this race as from P4. Michael Bolton has a big off. I thought he was just going to put a couple wheels off, but then he kind of got stuck in the grass and knocked down a bunch of cones, and that's cost him a lot of time to that battle for 3rd. And of course, that's going to allow Tom Layton to run down Bolton a bit.
Yeah, that'll certainly help him out. He needs everything he can get from here, because catching up by 6 seconds, not impossible in 10 minutes to Travis Brown, especially the pace that we've seen from Layton, but it's going to be a tall ask, that is for sure. So now that Bolton is within about a second, he'll feel a little bit of that slipstream to help pull him forward on those longer straights. But this is going to have to be decisive moves. I'm thinking Layton is going to have to just approach the back of cars, and he cannot sit around like he did with Mayorga, Sam.
The commentator's curse is there's a scientific reasoning behind it. If a commentator gives a driver a shout out, that means they're punching above their weight, but they also run the risk of a mistake because they're in the pressure of being in the position higher than what they might be. And as I ramble, car spins off in the background. But anyway, long story short, I'm gonna give this driver a compliment anyway. BJ Fulton started in 10th place, got up to 3rd place through all that opening lap carnage, and I said early on how long he's going to be able to keep up there. We're almost at the end, and he's looking pretty solid for 3rd, maybe even 2nd as Lafala goes off. So BJ Fulton, man, he could be looking for the silver here, and I apologize if the commentator's curse comes true. I don't necessarily believe in it, though.
2 third places for him so far. Big 2 wheels off for Corey Lotfula there coming out of the keyhole. For what it's worth, I don't think BJ will be too mad if you do, because he's had the worst of this year already. He actually is back from injury earlier on. He missed 4 rounds because he had a back injury after a real-world accident at Laguna Seca. Since then, as I mentioned, he returned with 2 straight podiums. Hasn't been on there since. He's at a 4th place, but has been fast on his good days, as we've seen here. Really ready to pick up the pieces when other people fall apart around him. But in the meantime,
Rondo out in Thunder Alley. He just had the big crash. Got on the grass, running in 10th place. He was running down Schullen and Bossignone, and I say out, but he's heavily damaged, but it's still going, actually, in 10th place.
And he doesn't even have a black and orange flag, but this was a monster hit. He's going to come in and take his spare car anyway, so let's go take a look at just how big of a hit it was. This is, yeah, there you see off the course, and then tries to catch it, and unfortunately, right into the concrete, not even into the tires.
Yeah, that's when you're thankful we're watching virtual racing rather than real world.
Indeed. Well, he does carry on, as you mentioned, but he hops in, takes a spare car, and he's back out already. Meanwhile, Fulton is now not only catching up to Latvia, he's starting to apply pressure. He is within a car length of that 22. This is turned from Corey thinking about how do I beat Travis Brown to keep him from making inroads on the points to how do I keep BJ Fulton behind me so I at least solidify second.
Yeah, Fulton had the scary moment there, and Fulton's going to make a mistake. This race is going to fall apart from him, and you know, he's going to finish all the way at the back. I've undone the curse, Joe.
I like your theory there, but these two are also being caught a little bit by Michael Bolton and Tom Layton. So this means that he is within, I think, 2 seconds of second place. Yeah, because he's within 4 seconds of the leader. He has gained time, but he's got to have to pass these guys just one after another. Very, very fast, going wide. Both he and Bolton trying to open up the corner, but Bolton went a little bit too deep. Layton will have a nice tow down the backstretch. Is he aggressive enough to send it in to China Beach?
Here we go into the braking zone. He hasn't pulled out yet. Now he pulls out, does it to the inside. Not able to get an onside him, so they stay as they are for now as we start to run out of laps.
Yeah, down to 6 minutes left to go. And he still has to pass Bolton just to get into fourth. Has to pass Fulton to think about another podium here today. And I am kind of surprised at how difficult it is to pass. I've known how hard it is to pass here, but I can't tell if Layton has some sort of damage that's making it harder or if this is genuinely the way it's been. He's making creative moves, though, when he does make overtakes. Looking at it coming into the carousel. Couldn't quite get it, but off the corner, he'll have a better exit. Maybe into turn one. That'll take a brave man to go for that one, and he decides it's not worth it this time.
Oh, Bolton got on the curbo, and that curb is not flat. That can really bounce the car around. It did. Layton's going to go to the inside here. Now, again, this isn't a done deal if you make a move on the inside of a keyhole, because you've got this run down to China Beach, which is an even better passing opportunity. Bolton gets a better exit, taking the wider line around the keyhole as they accelerate up through 130, 140 miles an hour. Still accelerating. Which one of them's late on the brakes? 150 miles an hour, hard on the brakes now. Still side by side, and then Bolton can hold it here. He now has the inside for the left-hander, but Layton is putting up a fight, and Layton pulls ahead.
He was not going to be denied. Layton will take fourth with that move, hard earned. Unfortunately, that dropped them away from BJ Fulton by quite a margin. He's going to make up about 2 seconds to catch that 423 and get himself onto the podium. Can he do it in the final 4 minutes? So have some time to catch and then pass. But clearly, it's going to be something that'll take quite the effort. Fulton is still basically on the rear wing of the 22 as well. So that might be a big help, as BJ could be a little distracted.
Yeah, and a little mistake from Layton there allows Bolton to run him down. Oh, but Bolton, you didn't see it there, but I can tell you he clipped that curb again in turn one, cost him a little bit of time. That probably hurt him an opportunity of trying to get back by Tom Layton. But yeah, I mean, I would hate for this to happen, Joe, because Latvala and Fulton have both had good races today. But if they did tangle, Tom Layton would still be able to salvage a second out of this.
Exactly, and everybody would roll their eyes, I'm sure, with how many podiums he's taken so far this season, how many wins he's had. It's not exactly in need of them. It's all done bar the shouting as far as the points go, unless he essentially doesn't show up for many of the remaining races because of the drop weeks helping him out at this stage. Meanwhile, as we continue to watch Corey Latvala, he's really hustling the car. You can see it sliding all the way out to the edge, up and over the leap into Thunder Valley. And that actually was a great run because Fulton's now starting to fall away from him.
Mehmet Karasay has just had an off. He had been running in 14th place. That'll drop him to 15th behind Dan Fendick. As we cross the line with a little over 2.5 minutes left to go. I think we're looking at 3 laps to go.
It looks like Mark Bray just overtook John Momeyer as well, so that was for 11th position farther down in the pack. There is Brown on your screen, Your leader in the 79, just ahead of the spinning car of Jacob Abrams, who thankfully is out of the way in time. Abrams is not having a good time here today. He's spun multiple times over the course of the race and has clearly got an unhappy car. How much of that is due to damage from the opening incidents, we don't know. Meanwhile, back to the battle for second. Fulton versus Latvala. Looks like Leighton last time by was 0.5 of a second quicker than BJ.
Yeah, I'm going to be watching Travis Brown and the clock when he comes around here, but my guess would be that he'll cross the line with more than 1 minute 20 seconds on the clock, which will mean we have 2 laps left to go. And of course, Travis Brown doesn't really make a difference to him unless he's really, really short on fuel. How many laps are left to go? He's pretty much got first lockdown. I guess maybe if you have a thunderstorm outside, you want the race to be over to avoid a power cut. But there we go. He comes across the line, 1 minute 30 left on the clock. So 2 laps left to go. Second through fifth still up for grabs. They've spread out a little bit, but it would just take one mistake for them all to bunch up again. And to be honest, they are running down Travis Brown.
I was just going to say the last 2 laps were slow for some reason. And I went back and checked the lap 20 for him. I think he had just a tiny off coming off of the keyhole that I think caused him to lose about 0.5 second to his normal pace. And then this last lap was almost a full second slower. And I'm not sure what's going on. That may have been because he checked up for Abrams spinning in front of him. That could have scared him out of the gas and lost him some time. But it has brought it down to about 1.6 seconds. Latvala will know that he's gained a little bit, but it might be a bit of a false dawn for that red 22.
Of course, I mentioned just a moment ago, could it be fuel? But I don't think so, because
surely not.
I don't think you know, this race going 23 laps would be out of a question for anyone. But B, he's not lifting and coasting at all. His pace seems to be from mistakes or something or another. It doesn't sound like he's going around the track to save fuel. But whatever the reason, 1 lap left to go, and he still has a 1.5 second lead, and that's a fairly comfortable lead, to be honest.
Comfortable, but he can't make any major mistakes, can't have any big slides or offs, or he could hand this over to Latvala, and Corey could take his second win in 3 races. He's already on course for his 4th second place in 5 races, which is impressive. But look at Leighton. Leighton once on the podium, and he's going to deny BJ Fulton getting his first one since round 11 if he can pull this off. As they come down into China Beach, BJ just kind of half covering the inside. That could come back to bite him, though. No, he's going to be able to hold back Tom Leighton, who can't find inroads down through Madness and the S's.
And I think we got another spin here. I think Leighton could have been a bit more aggressive here, but I think he knows it's not his day. He would have taken that if something had opened up for him, but I'll tell you what, kudos to Fulton. He has definitely earned that podium today, as has Latvala and as has this man, Travis Brown.
Brown was able to hold out a few scary laps there at the end that were just a little bit slower, but maybe he was just trying to bring it home, because that's what he did to take the win here today, his first since round 12 of the season. It'll be Latvala with second and BJ Fulton third. Leighton, his first time off the podium inside the top 10.
Battle for 8th coming to conclusion here, but no change. Jeffrey Shulam gets 8th place. Dog Bossignone finishes in 9th place. And Rondeau, all this crashing obviously after the finish line, Rondeau has been able to get back up to 11th even after that pit stop for damage. And I'll tell you, Joe, you were talking about that battle for second in the championship earlier. Michael Johnson going to lose out a little bit on that, finishing 7th, while his competitors Brown and Latvala finish 1-2.
Yeah, been a bit of a bad day for him once again. He's been on a slump for some time. We're going to take a quick break. We'll come back with the unofficial results as well as driver interviews, so stick around.
Good morning, everyone. I'm going to ride around the world.
I'm Mick Claridge, and I'm going to ride around the world on my bike. My son, he gave me advice at the start of this ride,
And he looked at me and just said, Dad, don't be a moron.
Let me do my animal signal to gain their respect.
How's it going, Sally? Yeah, I'm alright, Mick. How's it going? Worse than that bit in Lord of the Rings where they got into the top and the spiders in the tunnel. I'm just hoping there's a spider at the top of this one to kill me. Freezing.
And I failed. I moroned up the ride.
Welcome back to Mid-Ohio. We just saw round 19 of the Porsche Owners Club Series, and Travis Brown has won for the first time since Daytona, almost halfway through the season. It's a much well-earned victory and desired victory for that 79. Corey Lotvilla was second behind him and actually was dropping back. We think that maybe Travis was kind of managing the pace there late on. So he started to lose that gap, but then basically cruised to the checkered flag as they came to the line. Third place was BJ Fulton, returning once again for the first time since round 10 back at VIR. After him, Tom Layton takes his first finish of the season that is a top 10 and not on the podium. It'll be Michael Bolton who finishes fifth behind him. Sam Mayorga, who had such a great qualifying, could not recover after those early incidents and wound up sixth. Michael Johnson continuing to give way in that points battle, finishing seventh. Jeffrey Shulam was eighth as Doug Baccignone finishes in ninth. Michael Ost, a late race spin, still kept him in 10th. Sam?
Well, 3 people call Michael on that first page. All right, in 11th place, Mark finishes ahead of Mark in 12th position. That's Mark Rondeau and Mark Bray. John Mamaya finishes in 13th place, and then the last driver on the lead lap was Dan Fendick. Memo Karasai had a late spin that dropped him down into 15th, and then Jacob Abrams, who was flipping upside down on the first lap and had multiple spins after that, which may have been related. Places in 16th, made it to the end. The 2 drivers that did not were Tin One, who spun out early, and Jad Duncan, who had pretty substantial damage after the first lap incidents.
It looks like we've got our winner ready to talk to us, Travis Brown. Got to think he's ecstatic to be finally back on the top step once again. Travis, congratulations. Obviously, a little bit of help there because it seemed like it was not a good day for Tom Layton. But when the goal was open in front of you, you were not going to miss.
Yeah, no, I don't think I had anything for Tom today. He was, way faster in qualifying, but yeah, I think he just got loose on turn 1, and we actually got a 4X, but the netcode god smiled on me and didn't punt me off into the grass. And I was able to just hang on and do a nice, consistent race.
Thank goodness for that, because this was sorely needed. You had lost second in the championship to Corey after missing a couple races. Do you think you can run him down in these last 6 that we'll have?
Maybe. I don't know. We'll see. It'll be, I like the last couple tracks we've got. I've just been having a lot going on with family and work and stuff. So I haven't been able to make a couple races. So hopefully my schedule stays more consistent and I can be on.
Talk to us about the end of the race, though. We noticed that the lap time started to drop. Were you managing the gap there, or were there legitimate issues?
Oh, yeah, no issues. Corey definitely got faster as the race went on. So he was, definitely tracking me down. But I was just trying to be consistent and not do anything stupid, as I could feel my rear tires were getting a little tired, little loose. So just was braking a little earlier. I just wasn't pushing it. I was just trying to keep that same consistent lap time.
That explains it then. Well, again, congratulations on the win. Anybody you'd like to thank?
Corey, actually, he reached out and texted me earlier today. He's like, "You're racing tonight, right?" So it's always fun when the guys are, lobbying to get you back out here. So it was a good time.
Just tells you how great the community is. That was Travis Brown taking his third win of the season here, fourth win actually of the season for the number 79 car. Meanwhile, Sam has caught up with Corey Lotfula in the 22, who seemed to struggle a bit in qualifying, but was fantastic in the race.
Oh, Corey, Travis just told us that you were the one who reminded him there was a race on. Are you kicking yourself after that? Because an awesome second place, but boy, was the one person stopping you from getting that W.
Yeah, if there's anyone I'm going to help, it's Travis for sure. If I can ever even help him, he's plenty fast enough. But yeah, no, qualifying was pretty rough. Don't know what the deal was. Got into the race. I go to look at the battery on my Oculus, and it was at like 25%. And so I had to turn the sound all the way down, or else it was going to go dead during the race. So I was doing that all with no sound whatsoever, which was pretty tough.
Oh yeah, that definitely sounds difficult. But I'll tell you what, though, maybe your senses being deprived of sound helped your eyesight there on the opening lap, because you found your way through all that carnage, went up from 6th to 2nd on that opening lap. And how were you feeling after all that happened? Did you know that you had a good chance to bring home this podium? And I'm guessing you were probably thinking about the win at that point too.
Yeah, I was feeling pretty good until making it through all those the wrecks was pretty awesome. And then trying to hang behind Travis, I was able to do it for a little while. Then I started making mistakes and driving behind me. I was watching BJ more than anything, and he was really keeping me honest. And then all of a sudden I see Tom coming up through the leaderboard. I'm like, oh crap. And we only had like 3 more laps. I'm like, oh, we're fine. And then he's like on top of BJ, and it was, I was just like, do not make a mistake.
Well, you didn't really make a mistake there, and you brought it home in 2nd. And now we know you were doing that without sound. That is very impressive indeed. Heading over the Laguna Seca next week, how are your thoughts on that track?
I love Laguna. It's one of my favorite tracks. So hopefully I can pull a podium like we did today, and hopefully I can do it with sound.
That definitely would help. Anyone you'd like to thank?
Yeah, I would like to thank Schmidt Racing, all my friends and family watching. They're always supporting me. You guys always doing a great job with the broadcast and the POC. Thanks.
And that was our 2nd place finisher, Corey Lotfula.
Looks like we'll talk to 3rd place finisher BJ Fulton. First time on the podium since VIR earlier on this season. BJ, it's been a minute since we got to talk to you, and it was probably nerve-wracking on whether we would, because I'm sure you saw Tom Layton coming in the mirrors there late in the race.
Oh, yeah, and earlier in the race, it was Michael Bolton. I was defending my life quite a bit of that race, and it had me sweating, that's for sure.
So obviously some of it helped out by incidents at the start, but when chaos happens, you got to take what you can get, and that helped promote you from 10th up to this 3rd spot. Did you expect that you'd be able to hold on to that, or did you think that guys would be charging back through and eventually you'd kind of have to maybe settle for just top 5 or something?
Well, I thought I had a good chance to hold on to it, just because this track is so difficult to pass, and you have to have so much more lap time to get past. So I figured I had a good chance at just defending hard and keeping people behind me, and it worked out just barely.
Yeah, and I mean, better to just work out just barely than not at all, I suppose, because it's still a 3rd place. How are you feeling, though? Because obviously you had your issues earlier in the season. Is the back better now?
Yeah, it's getting there. I mean, I feel probably about back to 95% or so. I have some soreness, but I can do most day-to-day activities nowadays. So I recovered surprisingly fast.
Well, that is so good to hear, and it's been impressive to watch. That's 3 podiums since you returned from injury. And anybody you'd like to thank that helped put you up there?
Yeah, definitely want to thank Jad Duncan for punching a nice little hole through the pack and let me sneak through on the keyhole. Definitely thank him, and thank you guys for covering us and doing such a great job night in, night out.
Well, thank you very much. A little bit of a cheeky thank you from PJ to get a third place here today at Mid-Ohio, which is going to wrap us up. So a big thank you to our sponsors before we head out, which once again includes Porsche. There is no substitute. Find out more at Porsche.com. And Sunset Mortgage. Don't put your money in the bank, be the bank. Check them out today at sunsetcash.net. And Octavio Tequila. Celebrate now. For a great tasting tequila, go to octaviotequila.com and purchase today. And finally, Rogers Financial. You retire once, we retire people every day. For all of your financial planning needs, contact Rogers Financial today at rogersfinancial.info. Thanks to the team, Sam, Zach, and Dougie. Make sure to check out our social media, our website, and our merchandise store. And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel so you don't miss a moment on GSRC. The next race is going to be at Laguna Seca. That'll be Monday, October 17th at 11 p.m. Eastern. Be sure to check out our other broadcasts listed here. But until next time, race clean, race hard. We'll see you on the track.